You know who uses their voices a lot? Teachers. You know who doesn't get a ton of training on how to use their voice? Teachers. At least that's not something we were taught when I was going to college. Hello, and welcome to Discovery Adventures Preschool. I'm Hillary, and today we're going to talk about my top 10 tips for your teacher voice. This video series will be mostly focused on teaching in a classroom, but is also still applicable to other teaching and speaking scenarios. You can even use a lot of these tips at home with your own kids. Before I became a teacher, I did a lot of singing and acting, and through those routes, I learned and had practice on how to use my voice effectively and in a healthy and supported way. And a lot of what I learned applies to teaching. So I would love to share with you, if you'll allow me, my top 10 tips on how to, my top 10 tips on your teacher voice. While researching this video, I learned that teachers do indeed have high incidence of vocal disorders, which is sad, but not really a surprise. I hope we do better at supporting our teachers in general on some vocal training. We're going to do our part with this series here. As I started writing these scripts, I realized that there's more information than I can cover well in one video. So for now, at least, we have this video about our top 10 teacher tips for your voice. And we're going to do a whole video on attention getters so that you don't have to yell over your kids. We're also going to do a whole video on some vocal warm-ups that are geared specifically toward teachers and classrooms. We are going to do a whole video on adding dynamics and the traditional strict teacher voice and how to do that effectively in a way that still is respectful and supportive to a healthy classroom culture. So I hope you stick around. Thank you for supporting the channel, and let's get started here with our top 10 tips for your teacher voice. Before we really dive into it, I do want to say that if you're like me, sometimes when you're learning things that you can do to add to your teaching, to your classroom, it can get a little overwhelming. Teaching is so much fun and it's so rewarding and I love it, but it's also very stressful and it can feel like a lot. So I recommend you do a little self-assessment here. And as we're talking about these top 10 tips, that you maybe are paying attention to which ones you maybe need the most, maybe which ones you're most interested in, and really focus in on just one or two at a time. Be gentle with yourself, have fun, make it an experiment, and not another, more I'm doing wrong, right? We're going to have a growth mindset instead around it. Okay, let's dive in. Whew. Tip number 1 is to drink lots of water. It is so healthy for your voice to have enough hydration. When you're dehydrated, those vocal cords are a lot more likely to be strained. And when you have enough water in your body, your voice is able to perform a lot better and a lot less likely to have that strain there. So drink lots of water. Figure out what works best for you so that you're getting enough water for your personal needs. And you're going to want to keep a water bottle nearby as you're teaching so that if you're starting to feel your throat getting dry, instead of just pushing through and potentially damaging your vocal cords, you're going to be able to take sips of water as needed. There's some fun water bottles that you can have that help you keep track of your water intake. I really there's an app called Plant Nanny, and I should probably show it to you, but I'm not being sponsored. You should sponsor me, Plant Nanny. I like you guys. I use the free version, and I just, you go in and every time you drink something, you click it and it waters your plants, and it's really cute. But you can keep track of your water intake any way that you want. And just keep in mind that for a healthy voice, you are going to be wanting to drink enough water. Tip 2 is kind of similar, but a little more broad. Your overall health is also going to affect the health of your vocal cords. So easier said than done, but you really want to be looking after your whole body because it's all connected, right? And I know that as a teacher, it can be really tricky to be taking care of your body the way that you might want or deserve. It also can be hard to take care of our mental health the way that we need it. And I get that and I see you and I want to support you. So I'll be making some more content about how to support teachers specifically with our mental health in the future. But for now, be gentle with yourself. And if there's one area of your physical health, like maybe getting enough sleep, start there. And as you're getting more sleep, you are also going to be supporting your vocal health a lot better. Things like taking a daily vitamin if you're interested in that, or making sure you're getting a little bit of sunshine, dental health, whatever. Pick one area of your overall health, and that's also going to support your vocal health. Okay, you can do this. Okay, tip 3 is to rest your voice as needed. You may have heard of actors and singers going on vocal rests right before a big performance or in between gigs. And that is something that you can build in. If you don't already, take some breaths and some breaks for your vocal cords. Give yourself permission to do that, especially if you're starting to notice some strain. Let yourself be quiet for 5 minutes. Figure out a way to help your kids do something else where you can just take a minute, breathe, take some sips of water, and let your voice rest. You can also build that into your routine where you're doing 10 minutes of vocal rest before your class comes or when your class leaves or whatever you need. Just give yourself permission to take rests as you need it, which again is easier said than done. But experiment, have fun, be gentle with yourself. You got this. Okay, tip 4. Ding. Sound effects. I'll just do my own. Who needs a soundboard? Anyway, tip 4. If you have access to a teacher microphone system, use it. Yes. And if you're an administrator, get your teachers microphones. It makes such a big difference. Studies consistently show improvement in classroom behavior and in instruction with proper use of teacher microphone systems. And anecdotally, I have seen a huge difference myself. It is difficult to get 30 kids to do what you need them to do throughout the day. And when they can't hear you properly, it makes it so much harder. It's so frustrating. And it's got to be frustrating to our students as well if they're not fully able to hear and understand and process what you're saying. It's especially useful. Teacher microphone systems are especially useful for kids who might have some auditory issues, but I think it's really beneficial to the class as a whole as well to make sure everybody can clearly hear and understand you. And teacher microphones are a great way to help you do that in a really healthy and supported way. Now that I teach preschool, I'm working in a much smaller classroom and I'm working with only 10 to 12 kids at a time. So I no longer use a teacher microphone. However, I do lug around my little karaoke sound system with my handheld mic whenever I'm teaching in a larger space or with a bigger group of kids, like when I do after school programs at my kids' elementary, because I want to make sure that they can hear me and I want to make sure I can do it in a way that is not going to frustrate me from having to yell and is not going to be straining on my vocal cords. Okay, yeah, teacher microphone. If you have one, use one. If you don't have one, bug your administrators. If you're an administrator, get them microphones. Tip 5 is going to be its whole video because there is a lot to it. But essentially, you are going to wait to start speaking and giving instruction until after you have your kids' attention. You are not going to want to be yelling and talking over them whenever that's possible. Obviously, that's not possible all the time. There are definitely cases like where safety is involved, where you are not going to wait till they're quiet. You're going to say what you need to say, right? But most of the time, you're going to get their attention and then you're going to speak, which is not only healthy for your voice, but it's also great classroom management. And there's a lot to this, and it's a whole art. You can do attention getters and call and response. You can use instruments and songs and different things. So we'll go more in depth with that. But do keep in mind, tip 5 is wait until you have your kids' attention and then give your instruction. So tip 6, yay! You are going to try to remember that your power for your voice, the volume, is mostly coming from your diaphragm and your core and not your throat. So your throat is a part of it, of course, but most of the power for the volume is coming from your core. It's kind of like, I'm going to back up so you can see me a little bit better. So, with lifting weights, if you are trying to pick up a heavy weight set with just your arms, you cannot lift as much. And you're more inclined to, if you don't have the proper form, you might injure yourself, right? So kind of similarly with the vocal cords are their muscles, right? And we are going to support them and not have them do all the work. So we are using our lungs, we're using our diaphragm, we're using our core, our back, and we're really supporting to have the power come from our bodies and not just from our throats. For me, if I find that I am strained by the end of the day, my vocal cords are feeling kind of scratchy and strained, it's either because I didn't have enough water or because I was trying to get a lot of that power from here and forgot to really support it with the rest of my body. So that's going to take a little bit of practice, right? Just like training our muscles is going to take some practice. But let's do a little visualization here because I think it can be a little bit abstract. Core, power, right? So let's do a couple exercises to see if we can kind of visualize it and make it a little less abstract. So gently place your fingers, your hand on your throat, and you're going to do some humming to feel that vibration of your vocal cords. Try doing some ups and downs. You can hum a tune that you know, or you can just do up and downs on your own. It looks so cool. I'm sure. Anyway, you can feel the vibrations there, right? Now let's put our hands on our tummies. We're going to do one on our upper diaphragm area and then our lower belly. And yoga and in mindfulness, we talk about a belly breath. That as you're filling up your whole lungs, your belly's getting involved too. It's not just your lungs doing the work, you're supporting it with your belly. So we're going to take some big breaths. And we're going to be breathing in and out, and we're going to be letting our hands feel that rise and fall. You can just put a hand on your chest if you want to. Feel it rise and fall there. We're going to do some ha, 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 with some sharp breaths, and we're going to be feeling our hands going in, kind of squeezing to really exaggerate that feeling of our core supporting our sound. Ha, 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 ha. For me, that's a lower voice, right? In singing, we talk about our head voice and our chest voice. So right now with lower notes, it's going to be resonating a lot in your chest. And when you have higher notes, whether you're singing or speaking a little bit higher, like sometimes people do with little kids, you're going to start to feel the sound is resonating more in your head before it's coming out. So let's do a couple head voice. Hey, 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 hey. Let's do some ha, 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 ha. Hey, 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 hey. Ha, 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 ha. Hey, 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 hey. Ha, 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 ha. Yay. And then we end up with giggles because it's silly, but hopefully helps you kind of pay attention to where your voice is resonating and where your power is coming from. There we go. All right. Yes, it is. Tip 7. You are going to be doing some warm-ups. Your voice is a muscle, baby, and you're going to want to warm it up. It's like as a teacher, we're running a marathon every week, sometimes every day, depending on what's needed from us and how much we're having to talk. But your voice and your vocal cords deserve some warm-up so that you're not just boom, running and hitting it over and over without warming yourself up first and without a little bit of training and support. I recommend even just a few minutes every day for a teacher is going to make a big difference. It's going to help support your voice, warm yourself up, and train you to use your voice in a really healthy and supported way. So you can put this into your daily routine as you're prepping for the kids to come. It also can be a great activity to do with your kids as a part of the classroom morning routine. I think with kids, they're doing a lot of speaking too. Depending on your class, right? They are probably not going to be doing as much speaking as you, but they are going to need to be speaking. And they're both physically developing their voice as well as kind of figuratively, metaphorically developing their own voice. So let's give them some support and some encouragement to do it in a healthy way. I think that it's especially applicable to do vocal warm-ups as a whole class before you're doing any classroom singing, like if you're getting ready for a performance, or just oral presentations if they have to give a presentation on a book report or even show and tell. Sometimes it can be really empowering to take a couple minutes, do some breath work, do some vocal exercises to help them warm up and prep themselves both physically, but it's also going to help mentally as well. I don't know of any, and if you know of any, let me know, but I don't know of any vocal warm-ups that are specifically geared towards teachers, so I'm going to get you some. And I thought it would be more helpful to make a whole separate video for you to warm up your voice. We're going to keep it kind of short, but we're going to address the needs of a teacher in a classroom, some vocal warm-ups. You can use it on your own, you can use it with your class, but I'm excited. So check them out. I will get it done and I will link it down below for you. If that makes sense, we're doing vocal warm-ups as a class or by yourself for a teacher. Vocal warm-ups for teachers. Okay. Okay, you're doing great. We're almost done. And tips 8 and 9 are going to be a whole separate video. But let me tell you here, tip 8 is to add in some dynamics. Have fun with speaking. Do it in a way that is a little bit entertaining and easier to get the kids' attention and to help them pay attention, to avoid some of that like monotone or monotonous or those like speech patterns that you fall into. There's a whole lot to dynamics and it's really fun. So we're going to do that in its own video. Connected, it'll also probably include tip 9, which is don't yell. And I mean like the type of yelling where you're like losing control and you're trying to yell to get control back in your classroom. There's a lot more effective ways to do that when you can. One of the ways is that like traditional strict teacher voice, when you're like, don't make me use my teacher voice. So we're going to talk about how to use that effectively and in a respectful, supportive way so that it's not damaging our classroom culture and we're not hurting our kids. We're going to talk about dynamics and teacher voice in a separate video. So check those out. But that might be something that you want to work on. Tip 10, we did it. We're on our last tip, which is consider getting professional help. If you are having chronic strain on your vocal cords and or you're having some more severe vocal disorders, you're going to want to consider speaking with a medical professional. An ENT, which is ear, nose, and throat doctor, are the specialists that you're going to want to speak with for vocal needs. And they may or may not need a referral from your primary care physician. So you'll want to check with your insurance on that. But a lot of times you can just go see an ENT and you don't even need a referral. They may probably have you work with a vocal therapist, which is like a physical therapist who might help you with some shoulder pain. A vocal therapist is someone who's going to be doing some stretches and exercises with you to help heal and strengthen your vocal cords. So if you also don't need to or don't want to go the medical route, you might consider hiring a vocal coach. A vocal coach, most of them are going to be working with actors and singers, but I would highly recommend my friend Melissa Michaels. She's not sponsoring this video. I just love her and want to tell you about her. So Melissa Michaels is a vocal coach, a licensed one, who's also a junior high teacher, and she's also an actress, and she's also a singer, and she would be great at not only helping you if you want to sing, but also helping you if you just want some support as a teacher and using your voice more effectively in a supported way. She's really flexible to work with, set up like a schedule that's going to meet your specific needs as a teacher. and she's very competitively priced, and she's online. So it's really easy to get a hold of her. If you're looking for like in-person classes, I'm sure she's in California, but I'm sure there's probably other vocal coaches who could also tailor your instruction as a teacher. But that might be something that could be fun for you, and also might be something that would be really helpful for you. So if that's something you're interested in, I'll link her information down below. So that was a lot of information, but you did it. Thank you for sticking with me to our end of our top 10 tips for your teacher voice. I hope it was helpful. I hope that you are gentle with yourself and you have fun. You try some stuff, you make mistakes, you try again, and you keep growing and learning specifically with your voice, but teaching and just life in general. Right? Thank you for being an awesome human being. Thank you for being a teacher. We love you. I support you. It's awesome getting to be a teacher, and it is not an easy job. And it's amazing that you are here and that you are teaching. So good luck with your voice, and goodbye for now, my friends. Happy teaching.